Good day everyone, welcome to this video and welcome to this episode. As I talked about the traffic system in the last episode, I mentioned you that maybe I will do a video about that, and this is now that video. As I told you, handling the traffic system is a 24,000 line code in my project, which requires 16 GB of RAM and an 8-core CPU. Of course, I'm just making fun, as I told you in the last episode, and maybe you saw that video. If not, you find the links in the description. So as I told you in the last video, handling the traffic system is just a 24 lines of code in my project. Which I was wrong, because it's only 21 lines. Of course, I use some other functions also, as you see, but this is the whole code, and now I'm going to show you how this works and how it looks in the game. So this is a function which checks whether that given vehicle, which we give as a parameter to the function, has to brake and stop due to a traffic situation. Of course, first this value is 0, which means that our vehicle can drive. Then we go through all the vehicles and check whether there is a traffic situation. Of course, we only check those vehicles which are on the road. So if a vehicle is in a depot and this variable is 0, we don't check those, because those have of course a place, they are in the depot, but they don't affect the traffic situation. Of course, we just check those vehicles which are not ourselves. Then we define the way of our vehicle and the other vehicle. So these are the 4 ways and values for each way in the game. Now you see, with the help of the variable way assist, we can check whether the vehicles go in the opposite direction. How? If the ABS value of the difference between these 2 variables is even, they drive in the opposite direction, and we will need this later. Then we define what kind of tile they are on, which means whether it's a straight road, or a turn, or a junction. Then we check the angles of the cars, so that we know whether they are already in a turn, or they drive straight. Then we have another function, which is just a small function to check, according to the coordinates of the vehicles and our own way, whether the other car is in front of our car. If yes, we have to check 3 different things. First, if they go in the same way, our vehicle needs to brake and stop, because it catches up with a slower in front, or a vehicle is at a stop in front of us. Or the other vehicle goes in the opposite direction, but it stopped. What does this mean? This is when a vehicle is, for example, at a bus station, but after the passengers get on and off, it will drive in the opposite way. This part of the line is just needed because in my game, when a vehicle stops, it changes its way to the next value, which in this case is the opposite direction. Second one, if the other vehicle is in a 4-way cross, we also have to stop. And the third one checks whether the other vehicle is already turning. If yes, we also have to stop. And that's pretty much the whole code. But let's see it in the game. So we have 8 cars in this little map, and every time a vehicle needs to brake, it turns grey. Of course, this system is not perfect, but it's a good starting point for future improvements. And of course, the code is also relatively fast. Sometimes you may see a little collision because some vehicles are longer than the length of a tile, so this needs some adjustment in the future. But as the game is not a simulation for cars and vehicles, I think it's pretty much good like this. One more interesting code about the code and how I made it. Every time a bus or a mail car or a truck stops at its place, for example at a bus station or at a post office or at a factory, it waits a constant time of seconds plus a random time. So every time you reload the game from the same place, it will look a little bit different. So reloading the game from the same save 3 different times, and it will look different just after a couple of seconds or a half a minute playtime. So this was today's video. If you like my channel, thank you if you subscribe, and if you have any comments, just feel free to leave a comment. Thank you, bye bye!